because these people, they are crazy because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you. And the wives is being messy and petty.
We got there because I tried to make it clear how many civil rights, it doesn't just boil down to one conversation, but I can see that somebody's campaign coffers really are struggling right now. So she gonna keep saying trans, trans, trans so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all to tell me whether or
Do
not...
not call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those
I am 47 years
emails
old. I have broken
actually
more
have...
glass ceilings than you
Chairman, I
ever
am
will.
reclaiming my time.
You will not do that. I
Order.
am not a child.
I am reclaiming my time.
Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Welcome if you are new here. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe for more. Help me get to 10,000 subscribers if you enjoy this content. So if you're like me, and most of us have been presented with Jasmine Crockett as a loudmouth, ghetto, ratchet, just bold Black woman that's just out here making a lot of noise about nothing, right? And now she's been redistricted, right? They have drawn her district right out of the map, and now she's left making decisions if she wants to rerun in various other districts in her state. Let's get into this. Listen to this.
I am engaged in litigation from the 2021 maps where they used CD30 in a similar way. And actually, at the time that the 2021 maps, well, as we were working on the maps and the numbers came out, CD30 had a naturally occurring population of 52% citizen voting age population being African American. This legislature in 21 decided to pull it down from being over 50%. And they were allowed to do so because federal law says that it's more so about, will this still perform as an African-American opportunity seat? So they did not do me a favor and somehow create an African-American opportunity seat. And their position in this current litigation that has not been resolved has been that CD30 is protected under the Voting Rights Act as an African-American opportunity seat.
Simply put, Crockett is simply stating here that she believes that the Black American vote has been diminished by a significant margin, right, in the districts that she would represent, as well as various other Democratic candidates as well. And so she feels like this particular rule that has been already implemented at this point, that will now in fact draw her and other Congress members and other elected officials out of those districts, will now minimize the Democratic seats. Okay. And so as a result, she has a problem with that. She has now taken it to court. She feels as though, lessering the a Black American vote in these districts is obviously discriminative, right? And will not allow for their votes necessarily to be heard. And so as they go on in this particular segment, they highlight various areas about how Latinos, Hispanics, and so on and so forth, how they voted for Trump, how, someone brings up upon the committee member, they bring up how, a lot of the Black Americans in this area voted Republican. So what her argument is not necessarily definitive, right? And it doesn't necessarily prove a point, but she, in fact, has I believe that most folks like her because she is trying to, she plays the racist card most of all. Most of the clips I've seen is always about, Black versus white. It's always about, somebody's being racist and so on and so forth. And so, as I said before, she's been highlighted to most of us, if not, majority of us, as a ghetto, ratchet individual that, just basically kind of panders to the Black American here in the United States. But this is where this next clip is where they begin to poke holes in her position. Listen to this.
That's your analysis of the opinion that you've not yet read.
Correct. I've not read the opinion, but I've definitely read summaries of it.
When you do read the opinion, which I would encourage you to do, if you'll look to page 17, it talks about one of the reasons that the court ruled the way that it did had to do with statutory construction. And it strictly construed Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and referenced the fact that Congress has been silent. Congress has not amended that or addressed that and addressed coalition districts under the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. So my question to you as a member of Congress, since the ruling in Petaway a year ago, have you filed any amendment to the Voting Rights Act that would allow you and allow the Voting Rights Act to be amended to provide for coalition districts?
Well, let me tell you something. As it relates to the Voting Rights Act, I have always signed on to and believe that we should pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, which would replace the entirety of the Voting Rights Act, as well as the Freedom to Vote Act, which would actually make sure that we could get some of this money out that allowed a presidency to be bought. So to be clear, when we left the last time when I was serving in the State House, we left because we wanted Congress to pass those two bills then. And since I've been a member of Congress, I have signed on. So do I have a fix? Absolutely. We need to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, Advancement Act. And you know who doesn't want to sign on? People from your party. Right. So, I mean, I can't do nothing in the minority, but if I could wave a magic wand, or if you'd like to call some of my Republican colleagues on the federal level and tell them that they should do right like historically Republicans have, because it has always been bipartisan to reauthorize the Voting Rights Act. And we know that a Republican governor from the state of Texas, it was a Bush that reauthorized it last time. And when I say bipartisan, I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking about passing with like 99 people. So listen, we are ready. We just need people that believe in fairness and freedom in this country to sign up and agree with us, and we will get this done. We will fix all the problems.
And I think my question is after the Petaway ruling a year ago, have you, since that time, filed any legislation to amend Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act to address the coalition district concerns that you raise? And I think that your answer is no.
The answer is that I have signed on to the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, which would resolve all of these issues.
Thank you.
So this is what they're presenting here. They are questioning her. Did she read all the necessary documents to really draw a full conclusion? And they're poking holes here. They're saying, hey, did you read all of the necessary documents on how the court arrived at their ruling, right? And so obviously in this case, she did not, but she is standing flat-footed that she attempted to present the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And, of course, point the finger. The Republicans did not vote off on it. She signed off, but they did not. And so, you know what? That's not enough, right? Because as a congressperson, and, you can present an argument, you can present a bill that could lead to legislation that could further assist what she seems so passionate about regarding the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And so when you're in a position of authority where you can, present these things that could better opportunities, so you say, for the Black Americans in Texas, you want to be able to do all that you can possibly do. You want to be able to say, I've crossed every T, I've dotted every I, I've done everything my hands can physically do, and right now I'm continuing to, fight it, as she said, in court. It is now in litigation, and so on and so forth. And so the thing I have, a problem with, because I'm not by no means a Crockett fan. I appreciate, for those of them that, support her, are for her, I can kind of understand why, but I just believe that, like most, because, this is not a where I'm trying to really scrutinize her. But if you are in a position where you're going to be this loud, you're going to be this bold, you're going to be talking all this trash and, calling other colleagues names and so on and so forth, be a little bit more fluent, be able to be more thorough in your position. All right. And, folks won't be attempting to draw you out of the redistricting, because, unfortunately, when you make a lot of noise, but you make a lot of noise where it's just, you're just banging your head up against the wall. You're just making noise. It's not really being impactful. You're not really representing the community in the proper way. And then you will not even, at your hands as a Congress member, you're not even doing all you absolutely can to help and push forward the movement that you're gunning for. And so that's the issue I have. I want to hear you all's thoughts on this, because when I heard about her drawing, them drawing her district out, of course everybody wants to pull the race card. It's all always about that, because that's just the go-to conversation to have, and that's just the one that everybody usually falls for. I told myself that I would genuinely give her opportunity to really listen to her, to really hear her perspective. And video after video, interview after interview, I saw a woman that wants to pretty much do the right thing in a sense. But what I find is that she always results back to the ghetto ratchet position. She always goes right back to just not really presenting an educated argument all the way through. She starts off, she has highlights of really knowing how to, share what she's learned, what she's done, and so on and so forth. She's not completely unarmed. She just seems though she's not following it all the way through, right? And if you're going to come across as I got this together, and as she said in one of these clips, we can fix all the problems, right? And if you can fix all the problems, then you need to be able to know what all the issues are and how to go about fixing those problems. As I said earlier, be able to take every avenue, be able to state that you've taken every step to try to get these things done, and then do it in an amicable way. And I believe that's why most have a turnoff about her, is simply because of how she presents, right? And people, that ghetto crap is not going to last but so long. All right. It's only going to get only a certain demographic of individuals that's going to side with you and be for you. But then, that gets old after a while, and folks want professional, well-spoken individuals that have done their homework to represent them. And so, I'm not, here to point the finger at one side or the other, because for one, I have a problem with Democrats, and obviously I'm conservative and I vote my convictions. But I always am a person that wants to give a fair chance to each individual, right? I try not to just pick a side on every topic. Just because you're Republican, I'm just going to go with you. No, because there's rhinos in the Republican Party as well. And so everybody can be corrected. But in this case, I said, you know what, let me just give her an opportunity. And so, as I said, I see her as a person that attempts to do what's right, but then she negates to go back to being, trying to be an old typical black girl that, you could just, and maybe that's who she is, maybe that's who she is. Maybe she's not just using that as a default. But I just really would hope that she would do her homework and, just really make herself over, in the sense of being more professional, being more assertive, not bringing the ghetto mess, because you all are representing the people, right? You all are in very important roles. And when you all are out here representing us and speaking for us, there is a way majority of us would like for you to represent. You all are people that are going to go down in history books. You all are representing the best country there is in the world. And so we can't have all of the tit for tat, the arguing, all the ghetto mess going on. And I understand people are people and no one's going to be perfect 100% of the time, but we have to do better, especially when we are in these roles. And so that's my take on it, you guys. I would love to hear yours. Maybe something out there that I don't know. Please put it in the comments, put your thoughts. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Help me get to 10,000 subscribers. And I'll see you all on the next one.
God knows 31 reasons you were called to be a woman, a God, virtuous woman he needs. God knows 31 reasons. 31 reasons why